Welcome to AFAX number one stop to entertainment and trending news. The mother of businessman George Mwangi is yet to come to terms with his gruesome murder after his body was found dumped in Chania forest in Gatundu North. Priscilla Wanjiru insisted that Mwangi, who was not reportedly killed on October 10th, had not expressed any fears for his life before his murder. She spoke to Citizen TV and she painfully said she met the 58-year-old at a family event 2 days before he was reported missing. However, the bereaved mother said she was utterly shocked when Mwangi's wife, Gladys Chania, was arrested as the prime suspect in the murder plot. Wanjiru recounted that on Tuesday, October 11th, Chania called her, informing her that the businessman was missing. 9 hours later, she would call her again, breaking the disheartening news that her son had been murdered and his body dumped in the forest. Wanjiru shared, "I was shocked when the police arrested his wife, that she might be connected to his death. I have never heard them arguing, but since they stay far away and at times he will stay for long without visiting, it will be hard to know." Detectives said Mwangi was a few hours away from leaving his home to catch a flight at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport when he was murdered. The deceased had 3 children with the main suspect, with whom they had been married for over 20 years. The Crime Research and Intelligence Bureau team recovered some of the murder weapons suspected to have been used to commit the heinous crime. Detectives gathered that Mwangi was killed following a love affair involving him and his mistress, identified as Lucy Mudhoni, a secretary at a local school. According to the DCI, Mwangi fell in love with Mudhoni, who was looking for a rental house sometime in 2021. He offered her one of his rental houses next to his house, and one thing led to another, and he would be spotted together at local joints and other social gatherings. Some of the family members intimated to detectives that the deceased had introduced Lucy to his family as his second wife, and she was well known to the extended family. The fateful day of the murder, Lucy had accompanied the deceased to a family function in Kimunyu, where the main suspect was also in attendance. She left the function earlier. Gladys Chania has been detained for 7 more days to complete the investigation into the murder of the businessman, her husband, John Mwangi. He was detained together with one of her workers, Maurice Mbugwa, and they will be appearing in court on October 24th for further direction. He appeared from the Kiambu court on Monday, October 17th, following the arrest, and according to the court order, Chania is being held at Gilgil Police Station while Mbugwa is being detained at Muthaiga Police Station. For those who might not be aware, this employee was actually new and he was employed on the eve of the murder. And I'm just going to read for you the second bit that the DCI had shared, just in case you missed it. So I'll read the statement from the DCI. In a 2-part series pieced together by the DCI communication team, the deceased wife is suspected to have been assisted by a newly employed casual laborer and other accomplices in committing the cold-blooded murder. George Mwangi had arrived back into the country on September 13th from Rwanda, where he is a contractor, an astute businessman with interest in real estate. The deceased had said 3 children with the main suspect, with whom they had been married for over 20 years. However, according to multiple sources, their union seemed to have been undergoing turbulent times, since the woman will mostly spend her time at their Thika home, while Mwangi will stay at the splendid 5-bedroom Mangu residence whenever he was in the country. Sometime last year, a woman identified as Lucy Mudhoni, who was looking for a rental house, met the deceased during one of his visits. He offered her one of his rental houses next to his house, and it is from this point that their relationship blossomed from that of a landlord and tenant to one similar to Romeo and Juliet. The love relationship was no longer a secret, as every time the deceased was home, he would be spotted side by side with the woman at local entertainment joints and other social gatherings. Some of the family members intimated to detectives that the deceased had introduced Lucy to his family as his second wife, and she she was well known to the extended family. On the fateful day of the murder, Lucy had accompanied the deceased to a family function in Kimunyu, where the main suspect was also in attendance. According to some eyewitnesses, Lucy was on the driver's wheel of the deceased double cabin truck, registration number KBY 849M, and after the function, they headed back to Mangu. Upon arrival, she parked the vehicle and left for her house, while the deceased proceeded to his residence. The main suspect had arrived earlier and was in the house when the two arrived. That was the last time the deceased was seen alive until the discovery of his decomposing remains in Kieni Forest by suspicious casual laborers in Kiamunyeki tea farms. Lucy told detectives that they had agreed to go out on a date the following day, but when he failed to call her at the agreed upon time, she called two of his friends to call him on her behalf and inform him it's about time, but the friends were informed by the main suspect that the deceased had gone for a walk and left his phone behind. Lucy had refrained from calling the deceased when his wife was around after she allegedly gave her a thorough dress down on one occasion. According to the main suspect, Gladys Chania, the deceased left the house on Sunday at 10 a.m. on foot, leaving behind his mobile phone and never returned, prompting her to file a missing persons report at Mwea Police Post on Tuesday, September 11th at 8 p.m. However, on the same day she made her report, eyewitnesses reported to have seen a woman driving the deceased vehicle towards Kiamunyaka Center, where the vehicle developed a flat tire and was fixed. According to a statement by the mechanic who fixed the tire, the woman asked for directions to Naivasha, and after she was directed, she took off. Another witness who works at a tea collection point in Kiamunyaka remembered seeing a fast-moving pickup truck being driven by a woman at around 3 p.m. with a load protruding at the back. She flagged the vehicle down and asked the driver to slow down since her luggage seemed to be falling from the vehicle, but the vehicle sped towards Kieni Forest, where the body was discovered the following day wrapped in a black polythene and a heap of cartons and empty bags of cement. It is after the body was dumped that the main suspect, through a phone call at around 8 p.m., made a missing persons report. The detectives investigating the gruesome murder also learned that the woman had hired a new employee identified as Maurice Kamau on the eve of the murder, after the previous one, John Mwangi, who had worked at the home for 4 years, allegedly failed to return home after he was sent to deposit some money on M-Pesa. His whereabouts still remain unknown. The newly hired employee, who is also a suspect in the murder, told detectives that on the day the deceased body was discovered, he had been asked by the main suspect to assist her in carrying a heavy load that was destined for the airport, the back cabin of the truck. When detectives arrested Gladys Chania, she was driving the late husband's pickup truck that was spotted headed towards Kieni Forest. Preliminary examination of the truck revealed bloodstains on the floor of the cabin, manila ropes, and empty cement bags similar to those found covering the body at the scene. After conducting a thorough forensic documentation of the house, detectives based at the Crime Research and Intelligence Bureau Homicide Department, Forensic Crime Scene, and Photographic Units have concluded that George Mwangi was murdered in his bedroom at the top floor of his house before his body was dumped at Kieni Forest. Pieces of blood-stained metal rods, blood-soaked bedsheets, stained curtains, and clothing were part of the exhibits that were recovered in the house by the sleuths based at the DCI National Forensic Laboratory. The 3 suspects connected to the murder are in custody, assisting detectives with investigations.